Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zareth Prevails. Jedi Knight Luke has been announced, and he's going to be released soon. We're going to find out more information in a couple days, but people have been asking for my take on things, and I guess I'm going to venture into a video like this. We'll see how it goes, but it's gonna be interesting. I want to look at some of the factors that are involved with this Jedi Knight Luke because there's a lot of different emotions that are going on about this release, more than you would get on your typical major character release. And some people are just angry because it seems like CG is just ignoring some of the issues that are going on currently. There's some people who are afraid that the game is going to end. There's some people who are just excited because it's like one of their favorite characters, and that I get it. There's a lot of different factors. I do want to talk about most of those, and then I want to get into a little bit on what we're going to expect from the event itself. What kind of speculation I have, just based on observations that I've made. So let's just see how it goes. So first off, let's talk about why everyone's afraid. I mean, maybe not everyone, but there are a few people who think that the game is going to be shut down. Is this the end? I feel like I see the clickbait on a ton of different YouTube videos. I haven't really watched anyone else's YouTube videos on this. I've been busy today, but I mean that's kind of the thing. People are thinking, people are just saying, speculating the game is going to end, and the reason for that, or at least one of them, is the lead producer, C.G. Carey. Back in the day, I looked for the quote. I couldn't find it. I think it was on a podcast. I didn't have 5 hours today to listen to all the podcasts that she was on, with the various content creators. The thing is, she said, at one point they were reluctant to release Jedi Luke because where do you go from there? How do you move upward and onward from that release? Like he's the most popular character. He's the most well known. If he is released, like how do you top that? He needs to be the pinnacle of the game to everyone. That's the emotion that everyone's going to feel. Like he'd better be the best. And I agreed with that at the time. And I can understand why people would be nervous. She had left less than a year ago, and she's the one who planned a lot of the current content that's coming out still. Like she had a direct hand. We don't know how much, but she did have a hand in it. And it makes me nervous too. The first thing I thought of was that interview, and it can be a little scary. There's that. People are also just saying, like, along the same thread, he's the last major character that people really, really want. I mean, you can find other big characters, like Jar Jar hasn't been released, and I know that a lot of people would prefer to him to just stay out of the game. But there's a few other big characters that they could release, like Hondo. He's not really a main character, but there's a lot of characters that could be released that people would like, but none of them more than Jedi Luke. And people are just thinking like, well, the game is going to shut down, and Jedi Luke is going to they're going to make one last cash grab and shut it down. And I will say this, like maybe that's true. I don't know what their plans are, but I think that they have made an enormous amount of money in the last few months with the Galactic Legends. Like, there's no sign that they're going to stop printing money. Like, they've made a ton of money. They had one of their highest grossing days ever in April. Like, I just don't see it. I don't think that this game is shutting down just because Jedi Luke is being introduced. I think that it's very possible that instead of Jedi Luke being released and then they shut the game down, they're releasing him for the health of the game a little bit. It's very similar. Like Padme was released right after Malak was released, and Malak was really strong. He made the entire meta just like really wretched to try to play against. You could barely beat him with any teams, and their response, what CG did, they released Padme almost right after, and she wasn't the meta team, but she ended up countering Malak, she provided an alternate route for people who didn't want to go for Darth Revan or who hadn't unlocked Darth Revan or Malak and wanted to still participate in the meta. And I feel like that is potentially what they're doing here is, we have all these Galactic Legends here, and we have a lot of really convoluted, crazy counters going on here. It's like, okay, so Rey we can beat with a number of teams, but if you put Malak in there, then you can't use Sith Empire, and if you're taking Supreme Leader Kylo, if it's a full First Order team, then if it has Red Trooper, then you can take the Padme counter with 5s. If you don't have if they have a Malak, then that counter is a little bit tougher. And if they don't have Red Trooper in there and they put Phasma instead, then you have to use something entirely different, like Darth Revan. And, the list goes on. It's so convoluted right now that I think that having a Jedi Luke might end up stabilizing the meta a little bit. He's a Jedi. You can just hear Jedi Revan licking his chops. Like, what's Jedi Luke going to give us? So, I think that is a possibility. And, that's not to say that every fear is unfounded, but I do think that it's probably more of a release to make the meta a little healthier that's been planned for a while. So another thing that people have been talking about in relation to this is that CG has just released Jedi Luke in retaliation or something to the whole Arnold drama about him getting his account banned, and that they're just doing that to distract people away from the real topics at hand. And there's been some legitimate concerns that with CG. I won't deny that. I also think that they mentioned it a couple months, I guess a month ago, when they released that really unfortunate and disappointing post about the road ahead is going to be delayed until June, but they're excited to talk about a major character release, and that's what this is. Like, they've been planning this for at least a month. Clearly this isn't just a direct response of, we don't care about Arnold's concerns. We're just going to continue moving along. Like, maybe they don't care, but they're not just releasing a character just to say, like, haha, we don't care. Like, that's part of the plan. So whatever. In terms of, people have been asking me my take on the whole Arnold situation, and my response is, I'm bored of this drama, and I'm jealous of all these guys who are creating content about it, because they are making a lot of money. Like, the ad revenue is crazy. Like, I don't get many hits, on my channel. I know how much I get, and the number of views they're getting, this is like a payday for them. They're making a lot of money off of this, and I'm not saying that means that they're just trying to make money for themselves, that they're just being mercenary about this. I have no idea. I can't gauge their level of sincerity there, because there's so much money involved. Like, there's so much money that they're getting so many views that other content creators from other games, people who don't even play this game, who are just like tangentially related, like people who like Star Wars, that they want a piece of the action. They're making videos and they don't even know anything about the game, and other games are seeing this and they're responding. They're posting things about bans. They're asking content creators to run ads in their videos for people because they know they're going to get so many hits, and it's huge. So it's hard to gauge how genuine people are because of how much money is involved. I'm not saying they're not being genuine. I'm not saying they don't have legitimate concerns. There are certainly some legitimate concerns involving the banning of cheaters and such that I feel strongly about, but otherwise, that's my take. I'm bored and I'm jealous. So let's move on. Now I want to talk about the event itself and what we can expect from it. Initially, I had thought that we were going to see Jedi Luke gradually released over time for like an individual raid or something, as the reward, sort of like Traya or General Kenobi. Just earn it over time, and in 6 months we'd have him, and he would be the new meta. And I think that's still a possibility, but I think that looking at the video after watching it a couple times, I'm pretty sure that that's not what it's going to be. I think that, like I said previously, I think he's just a response to kind of balancing the meta a little bit, giving an alternate way to beat these Galactic Legends. Like, just because you have one team that can beat a Galactic Legend doesn't mean you can't just live happily with your one counter. There's two Galactic Legends. You're gonna have to find a counter for a second one. So I think that that's what is going on, and in that case, a gradual release of shards is not going to make much sense. So if we're looking at the hero's heroic journey for this Jedi Luke character, it's going to follow, or at least it probably will follow, a similar trajectory in terms of just the requirements that the other two have had in the past, and that is that you have the character who's kind of leveling up, the character who's going to get a new form, get a new character, etc. You have that character, and then you have the characters, the allies who have helped them along the way. In the Commander Luke event, you had Leia, you had Stormtrooper Han, Old Ben, all the people that we all know and love in Episode 4, in the Rey's heroic journey, depending on how much you loved that series, those movies. You have Finn and the veteran smugglers, and just the people who are helping her get to that next form. And then this event, I think, is going to be similar to that. If my guess is correct, you can see all the different locations in the video, and there's the Hoth Tundra, and there's the hangar bay where the Millennium Falcon is on Hoth. There's Bespin. There's the confrontation with Vader in Death Star 2, and you just have to think that probably it's going to follow Luke's course, Luke's journey all the way to his confrontation with Vader at the end. And so my guess is, if I had to guess, which no one's putting a gun to my head, but I'm gonna guess anyways, the dumb GAC player that I am, my guess is that we're going to have Hoth, Rebel Officer Leia, and a lot of cynics have already guessed that because no one has her geared. She's kind of a worthless character currently. She requires at least 400 Carbanti to get to like gear 12. She's insane. Her gear requirements compared to how much output she has, she's just really not worth the gear currently. But that's the cynics' love anyways. That's their first choice, and I agree. Maybe not for the same reasons, but I also don't think that we're going to have either of the Hoth bros in there. I think that speculation is a little bit ridiculous because you don't really see him interacting with the Hoth brothers regardless. Yes, he's on the same battlefield, but he's in a speeder, so I don't think you're going to see him. I think he does interact with Captain Han, and he's on Hoth. He was instrumental. Han helped save him from dying in the cold, all of that. So we see Han, and the Millennium Falcon is kind of a dead giveaway, an easy one. For Dagobah, it's pretty obvious Hermit Yoda is there, and he requires GET1 to farm. He's kind of tough to unlock, honestly, especially if you're going for other characters and your account isn't as old as mine. He can be pretty problematic, and it's pretty obvious he helped Luke. If it's long been speculated that if Luke had a hero's journey to get to Jedi Luke, Hermit Yoda would be instrumental. I think 100% Hermit Yoda is going to be required for this. Regardless of what format, Hermit Yoda is going to be necessary. So something to keep in mind. And then the Bespin clip, we see the room, the Carbonite Chamber that Luke fights Vader in, and I think that's symbolic of Commander Luke fighting like that. That's what he looks like in Episode 5. That's the same Luke, and he's his own ally there. He's alone. And then they show the throne room in Death Star 2, and I know that he and Vader end up swapping hands toward the end of that fight. They're fighting each other, they're trying to kill each other, but in the end, Vader is the one who saves him. I think we're going to need Vader for the final. It sounds a little crazy and off the wall, but that's my guess. I'm guessing, especially because we don't necessarily need Vader for any event currently. We do need Emperor Palpatine to unlock Kylo, and so if we're going by adversaries, everyone's going to already have, or at least a lot of people already have, the incentive to get him to Relic 7, so that's not a challenge for a lot of people. They may as well make it into Vader, who a lot of people left him at Gear 12 because they loved his ship way back when. A lot of people just have him at, Gear 9 or 10 because his use is just way diminished from what he used to have. So I think that Vader is going to be the 5th. Now, there's an outside shot that they're going to require a bunch of other characters, Empire characters that Luke kind of interacted with. I could see Wampa being there, like Veers and Stark and Snowtrooper, Palpatine, all of his different enemies and adversaries. Maybe the snake from Dagobah, maybe that'll be our panic farm. I don't know. But I think it's just going to be those 5. I think it's just going to be those 5. He never interacts with Lando. Lando's not part of it. People are speculating it's going to be Ugnaught required. We need Lobot, and I just don't. I don't think so. Frankly, if Luke never interacts with them, we have no textual evidence that Luke ever once interacted with Lobot, and Lando obviously, but not until way after he'd already left his fight with Vader. So that's my speculation. I think that's going to be the 5 characters that we need for a hero's journey, and I think that's going to help bring balance to the meta. We'll see if that's actually truth. I do know that I am freezing all of my farming of Carbonite, or rather I'm escalating it, and I'm not going to spend it. So I'm going for that. And I think one thing I do want to point out, I was thinking this is kind of easy, actually. This is kind of an easy event for what we've been expecting. Like, the Galactic Legend requirements are insane. They're so hard. I'm not complaining about it, but they are super hard. You kind of just expect that all these future events are going to be the same, but I think that it can't be a Galactic Legend. I guess I should have mentioned that before. It can't be a Galactic Legend. That would break the game. That would just destroy everything. People are already sick and tired of Galactic Legends. They haven't been that much fun for anyone. Everyone's trying to find counters to them, and no one... I take it back. Some people love the characters, but they're not beloved the way Jedi Luke would be. So I can get it on one hand. It'd be cool to get a Jedi Luke as a Galactic Legend. I just don't think he's going to be a Galactic Legend. They've already said that they're going to release them in 2s, and his counterpart, would it be Vader? Like, what, we're going to get Vader in the same suit that we already have him in? Like, it doesn't make much sense to me. We're not going to get Darth Vader, like Lava Darth Vader or something like that, pre-Lava. That doesn't make any sense either. So it's not going to be that, because not only would everyone just quit the game because they're just releasing Galactic Legends every couple months, but there's no evidence to the case that there's going to be a second major character release. I think this is just going to be something that balances the meta, as I've said multiple times. And anyways, I think it's going to... It's easier because it can't be a Galactic Legend, and so therefore all requirements are easier than Galactic Legends. But also, Rolo, Rebel Officer Leia, is not easy to get these days. Most guilds are doing the Geonosian territory battle, and if you are doing the territory battle, then you're not getting Rolo shards. You have to spend GET2 currency to unlock her, and that's pretty steep. That's really tough, actually. She's a very difficult character to get. Hermit Yoda poses problems, and if you want to take the cynic's view of it, then you can say that CG is going to force a lot of different guilds to go for Hoth instead of Geonosis, and therefore cost themselves a lot of really high-end rewards, and therefore keep progress back from various accounts. I don't think that's really... I don't know. I won't speculate on that, but I do know that Rolo shards are problematic. My alt, I have no idea how I could get Rebel Officer Leia shards for my alt. I don't want to spend GET2. That's insane. I still want to get Malevolence up. Like, crazy talk. And my alt is really lucky to be in a high-end guild. So, uh, anyways, I'm excited for Jedi Knight Luke. I just am. He is one of my favorite characters. He's the most iconic one in Star Wars to me. And he's going to be a Jedi. People are saying, I know I saw a poll where people were all saying that no, of course he won't have the Jedi tag because Jedi, or rather Rey, didn't have the Jedi tag. And I get that argument, but they're calling him Jedi Luke. I think people would be really frustrated and angry if he didn't have that tag. And like I said, I think he's going to bring balance to the meta. I think he's going to go with Jedi Revan, and they're going to kick some Galactic Legend ass, is what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he'll lead the Commander Luke team to glory. He'll be the new leader for that. I just think that he'll certainly be a Jedi. I don't think they can escape that. So, for what it's worth, I'm excited, and that doesn't necessarily mean we have to forget what CG has done. I think we can still be excited about a release for a character that we all love. So that's about it, guys. I've rambled way too long, and I appreciate you listening to me. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Tell me what things I'm wrong about, or that you perceive me to be wrong that I'm not actually wrong about. And I'll see you when the Grand Arena season starts in a couple days. So thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Zareth prevails. Even in character releases, somehow. If that's possible. If there's someone who could, it would be me.